Hello, thanks for joining me today. I know my bike's not particularly dirty, but I haven't cleaned it for a few months, and I recently used a chain lube that claimed to be anti-fling, but it's made a huge mess. I'll show you that in a moment, but I thought I'd just give you some shots of the front of the bike. The main thing I'm cleaning off is dust and splattered flies. If you just want to know how to clean your motorbike chain, my card's coming up in the top right now, where I've made a shorter video focused just on the chain. I'll feature it again if you want a whole overview. In terms of the cleaning stuff I'll use, I'll put the product up on the screen when I introduce a new one, and if you look in the description there's a full listing of every product I use. This is what I've accumulated over 5 years of biking. I've tried what does work and what doesn't work, but chain lube I haven't quite got the grips with yet. This is the chain lube that I was talking about that's splattered everywhere. Anytime I want to lock my bike up, when I'm outside work for example, I always get my hands covered in this and the lock and chain too, so I'm getting a bit bored of it. It's time to scrub it all off. But before all of that, it's time to roll the intro and get the video going. Step 1 of my cleaning process is to get the hose out, get the soaps out, and get your bike up on a paddock stand. If you want to know about this paddock stand, you can view my video, How to Clean Your Motorbike Chain, where I show you the unboxing, the putting together, and the reason why I have this one. This is the first time I've used this paddock stand on this bike. It's worth checking the bike's level. The last thing you want to do is be scrubbing away and push your pride and joy over. Okay, so step 2 is to rinse the bike with clean water before you've touched it. This means that you'll get all that surface dirt off and your soap can work on the harder stuff that's stuck on. There's no need to use a pressure washer, although I have heard they're quite good at cleaning everything through the radiator, but that's totally up to you if you want to take a pressure washer near any electronics. So personally for me, I think the hose does fine. For Christmas I got the Muck Off Ultimate Cleaning Kit. Sadly, the Muck Off Pink wash has run out today, and I didn't check it before I started filming this, so we're using WD-40 Specialist Motorbike Wash. I'll tell you what I thought of it at the end, but to give you a hint, I thought it was too watery. I can see why Muck Off's doing well. The next step is to go over your bike with your chosen cleaner and spray every surface, except the brake discs and the seat, as you don't want those sliding around, and they're so easy to clean without soap. You can see here I'm being quite liberal with my amount of spray. This is because I got this particular bottle for free as part of a promo deal, so although I value it, I'm not intending to make it last forever. It's more just to try it out. So what's happening here is the spray-on soap is just making its way and pulling the dirt off as it drips off. I do also spray the engine, as I know I'm going to give it a good scrub, and I spray the pipes as well. It's then important to wash your first coat of spray-on soap off. This is because although it's freed up and loosened, it's still on your bike, and it's important that you wash that off before we start working around with the wash mitt. Now what you can do is you can either go over the bike with the spray again, or you can add your chosen soap and some water in a bucket and move on to the next stage, which is hand washing. And there really is a great reason behind it, so stick around to the end of the video and I'll be able to show you a side by side of what's left in the first bucket and how clean the other bucket is. Whilst that soap is still on the bike, I use the brushes to gently activate the soap a little bit more, but I don't go crazy and I try to avoid using the brush on any bit of paintwork or bodywork. Not that there's much on this bike. What I'm doing here is using Wonder Wheels. This is a colour active de-ioniser, so it stinks, and definitely don't get this stuff in your eye. It's strong as anything, but it does a brilliant job at pulling all that grease off the bike and leaving a nice finish too. I do this on the rear wheel and the front wheel. Because this clean specifically is more about getting rid of all the chain lube that flung off, I use motorbike degreaser and I just spray that generously around the chain area, as I was very surprised that even the front and back of the number plate got covered in this chain fling. Safe to say I won't be using that lube again.
5 minutes later.
I normally wait longer before removing all of the degreaser with the brush, but as the sun was getting stronger and things were starting to heat up, I thought it was a good time to just start scrubbing. As you see, I dip the brush into the dirty bucket, and I don't add any products in between because there's still plenty of degreaser on the wheel. Once you're happy you've removed all the dirt, it's time to give the final rinse of the bike. Again, just using your hose or pressure washer very gently, give the bike an overall rinse to get rid of any soap, degreaser, and any final bits that are left on it. You should then let the bike drip dry for a few minutes. While you're doing this, you can plug in your blower or go and get your microfibre cloth and get ready for the next process. It's then time to dry the bike. I use my blower at full speed, on low heat, and I take the heat off after a while as I found the elements stay hot for a long time. You can see I work my way from the top of the bike down. This is because you'll only be making more work for yourself. But it does a great job at blowing water out of the fuel cap, from under the seat, and all the tricky areas you might miss with the cloth. If you're using a blower, once you've started at the top, make your way down. I do the bike in 2 halves, and as you can see, blowing water from one side goes through the engine and to the other side. So you'll never get it quite dry, but it's better and it's a bit easier than using a cloth for me. I've just slowed things down for a moment so you can see how much water is hidden in these cooling fins. I know it comes out eventually, but while you're there with a blower, if you see that huge cloud that comes out, that's all the type of water that can sit and cause damage over time. Once your motorbike is totally dry, it's now a good time to polish it and protect it. For polish, I use Muck-Off's Speed Polish. I'll put a photo up here. And in terms of protection, I use Muck-Off's Motorbike Protectant Spray. Nearer winter, I'll use ACF 50, which I apply using a microfibre towel, and I'll do a video of that nearer the time. But for now, I'm just sticking with Motorcycle Protectant Spray. Normally cleaning your chain you would do before you've washed your bike. I've edited this in a very strange way. This is an extract from my video that was specifically about cleaning a motorbike chain. So I thought I'll put that at the end. Next up is the difference between the clean bucket and the dirty bucket. So the first step to cleaning your motorbike chain is to get your chosen motorbike chain cleaner, which is otherwise a degreaser, and spray that generously all around the chain.
Yes, thank you.
While you've got the degreaser out, you can also spray that on any area that had chain lube flung on it. This is the big mess I'm trying to clear up. The next step is to use a specific chain cleaning brush or a toothbrush, it's up to you. I got this off eBay. They're all the same. Whether you get a branded one or whether you get an eBay special, it's the same product. After you finish scrubbing, turn the brush around and do the sprocket as well. This is one way of keeping your sprocket clean, and if your brush has it, you might as well do it whilst it's covered in the degreaser. So again, I'm just making my way around all the nuts, and don't be afraid to brush the chain again while you're here.
20 minutes later.
After waiting 20 minutes for the chain cleaner to do its job, use water to wash off all of the stuff you've freed up. You might want to put newspapers down to catch what falls on the floor, or you can wash it away before it goes hard. Once you've washed all the excess off, you can use a blower or some paper towels to dry your chain. This means that you've removed all of the degreaser and the chain has a nice clean surface for the lube to stick to. Once your chain is clean and dry, use your chosen chain lube. Today it's the white chain spray, which claims to have lots of anti-fling properties, and spray that on the chain. Once you're happy all surfaces of your chain have been covered in your chosen lube, wipe off any excess after 20 minutes. Now what I'll do, I'll show you the difference between bucket 1 and bucket 2, and we'll get back to the main video. You might remember earlier I said about the 2 bucket method. This is bucket 1, this is the dirty bucket. You can see all the grime just sat in there. And this is bucket 2, lovely and clean. So what I'll do, I'll tip the water out and I'll show you the difference between the two. That's the water tipped out the buckets. So bucket on the right is the one I've been dipping the sponge into and collecting the soap from, and bucket on the left is the one I've been rinsing the sponge off before I put it back in the other bucket. There's a huge difference, as you can see, on the water line and all the muck that's left in the bottom. This is after sitting for a minute. That's about it for today's guidance. What I'll do, I'll leave you some footage now of the after, where the bike is lovely and shiny, nice and clean. I feel like I could have spent more time on the radiator, getting a bit more muck out of that, but as I've got plenty of trips planned, I'm not too fussed about this. But this is how you would normally get your bike showroom shiny. Thanks for watching. If you haven't subscribed already, please do, and it's always appreciated to have some support. Thanks.